here to see a specific instructor? Yeah, I'm here for Michael's class. He's one of the instructors. His name, maybe it's under his name. Look under his name. Yeah, we don't have an instructor named Michael here, and there's no Michael on this list either. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Debbie O, and you have tuned into the Debbie O Show. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I will be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 10. I have some thoughts and opinions on this show too, so I said, you know what? We're going to talk about it. Y'all didn't tell me I still have my do-rag on. So the episode opens up with Mindy all by herself in her apartment because, as we know, Zach refuses to move in with her. So she's talking about, maybe my family was right. Maybe this was a terrible idea. And I'm like, you think so, Mindy? I mean, I feel bad for her because she did sign up to be married and thought the experiment would go one way, and it's gone the complete opposite way because she's been paired with someone who clearly is not there for the right reasons. But I digress. Next, we move over to Katie and Derek, and they're cooking in the kitchen. Man, this was a struggle moment. Derek cracks the eggs open into the frying pan, which he has yet to grease, proceeds to whisk up the eggs in the pan as it's cooking already. There are so many questions. I had so many questions. And then the fire alarm's going off. They gotta open the door. He's fanning the fire alarm, opening the battery compartment. And I'm just like, golly. So Katie's like, you know what? I think we need some cooking lessons because we're both terrible cooks. And I'm like, Katie, you definitely been saying that you want to have kids. What exactly did you plan on doing with these kids? Because you're not going to be able to cook for them. So what, you just going to feed them frozen dinners all the time? What, you going to feed them takeout? Like, what exactly do you plan on cooking for these children that you want to have? Just questions, just asking. So then we hop over to Mika and Michael, and Mika's like, yeah, so we got our pedicures or whatever, and everything was cool. We was cracking jokes and stuff, but then all of a sudden, Michael flipped the switch on me, and he said, you're not giving me everything that I need. And so here we go. They're sitting down at the table. Mika got her ice cream out, and she's like, all right, so what is it exactly that you need from me that I'm not giving you? And Michael, I need you to be more vulnerable. And she's just like, I am being vulnerable. In fact, I've been nothing but vulnerable from day one. And I'm like, as I listen to Michael try to explain what it is that he's asking for Mika, I realize that the word that Michael really means is not vulnerable. He wants Mika to be more soft. He wants her to be more calm, more, approach him with a little bit more delicacy, hold him with white gloves. That's what Michael needs from Mika, but he does not know how to verbalize that. He does not know how to properly articulate or communicate that. As much as he is very articulate when it comes to other things, he does not do a good job of describing exactly what it is that he's feeling emotionally, exactly what it is that he is requiring from his wife. So, of course, Mika's frustrated, so she's like, what is it exactly that you need? Because I feel like I've been doing that. I feel like I've been doing it. And he's like, or you can tell his body language is like shutdown mode. As he goes into his shutdown mode, it's just like, on the one hand, I understand how Mika's frustrated, but you've seen how he gets closed off and clams up before, after you've approached him this way. So in the future, you would think that you would kind of tweak a little bit the way that you approach him just to maybe possibly get a different response from him. And he says right there and then, see this position that you have, all of this, it doesn't work for me. It hasn't worked for me, and it's not going to work for me. And of course, they don't resolve things. He packs his bag and he walks out the house. And I feel just like Mika at this point. I'm like, yo, you can't just get up and walk out the house and have me sitting here looking like a dummy on the couch waiting for you to come back, wondering if and when you're gonna come back. Like, that's not fair. I think it's a little bit emotionally, I don't know if saying emotionally abusive is a little bit of a stretch, but I think it is definitely not healthy, at the least. So when they finally comes back, they try to readdress the situation, and Mika's like, yo, you can't do that. And Michael's like, well, whenever you're doing all of this, I can't. And then Mika's like, I don't do this, I do like, Mika, stop being all technical with it. You know what he means. You're doing a lot. You're being extra. And I'm the same way. I talk with my hands. So I understood what Mika was like. I talk with my hands, period. Like, that's just how I talk. But I also know that some people, it's read different by everyone. So I think it's fair for Michael to ask, hey, I don't care how you talk to everybody else, but when you talk to me, I need you to try to calm that down. Next, we go to the cooking class, and Mindy is being very observant of Mika and Michael. She's like, something's not right with Mika and Michael. They're not being very affectionate or touchy or anything. And I'm just like, Mindy, of course you're observing them because you ain't got nothing else to do because the man that you're supposed to be there with has no desire to be there with you. That wasn't nice. But it's the truth. So finally they're done cooking and they sit down to eat. Mindy's living vicariously through everybody because she's sitting there like, so what's it like to live with the man that you married? Because I have no clue what that feels like because this man refuses to move in with me. She ain't say all that, but she basically said that. So everybody's like, yeah, living together, it's an adjustment. They're all talking about the pros and cons or whatever, things that they've been going through. And Austin and Jessica sitting there like, because they have very little to contribute to this conversation filled with like, yeah, we've gone through this, we've gone through that, we've gone through the wire. They don't have that much drama. And they felt bad for not having drama. They felt bad that their relationship is actually going smoothly. And for once in this season, Zach said something sensible that we can all understand, appreciate, and commend. Zach said to them, don't be ashamed or embarrassed that you're actually having a relationship and having a successful relationship. Maybe you guys have some gems that we could benefit from. So then they get a little bit messy because they start asking, so does anybody know how Brandon and Taylor are doing? And everybody's looking around like, Mika's sitting there like, and they're like, Mika, looks like you got some juice. And she's like, why y'all calling me out? And I was just like, please don't say anything, Mika. Please don't say anything, Mika. But of course, Mika spills the beans. Now, I will be fair, Mika did not divulge everything, but she did speak to the fact that she spoke to Taylor, Brandon spoke to Michael, and basically gave them an overall gist of what she felt was happening between the two. And you could tell Michael was annoyed that Mika was spilling the beans. Because if we remember, on the honeymoon, Mika did something very similar, except she did it when they were talking about her relationship with Michael. So I already knew if Mika were to open up and tell the rest of the couples about Brandon and Taylor's situation, I already knew Michael was not here for that. And we find out later in the episode how he feels about that. But in that moment, I realized how messy Katie was being, because Katie was like, yeah, I saw the IG story and I was wondering what happened. And Mindy's like, yeah, I saw she had a list of qualifications and she said nobody meets them. Yeah, I saw the video. So I'm like, y'all seen the same thing that everybody else saw on IG, and y'all didn't think to say, all right, let me reach out to Taylor, see how she's doing. Instead, y'all want to go behind her back and talk to other people about her situation instead of going to her directly and saying, hey, I just saw your IG story. What's up? I don't know. There's something rubs me very, very wrong about people doing that. I don't know if it's because I have a very hard time trusting the intentions of others, but I feel like that was a little bit, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like the fact that Katie knew something weird was happening between Brendan and Taylor, and she knew, she was curious, she had questions, and instead of going directly to Taylor, she went and asked Mika when Taylor wasn't even present. So I don't know. I just feel like that's weird. That's shady. I don't like it. Anyway, moving along, Dr. Pepper meets with Brandon and Taylor, and I was like, this is gonna be pulling teeth with these two. So they go to sit down. Dr. Pepper's like, I got the rundown from my colleagues. I've seen the videotapes and footage of what's been happening, so let's talk. And Taylor's like, well, Brandon can start. And Brandon's like, well, Brandon's not gonna start. I'm only here to hear what she has to say about what she did to me because what she did was wrong. And they're both like just pointing fingers back and forth. And I was just like, man, y'all are so childish. Brandon's sitting there on his high and mighty pedestal talking about, yeah, she's not here for the right reasons. This woman is not here to be married. I've been trying. I've been busting my behind, da da da. And Taylor's sitting there like, ever since we came back from Panama, he hasn't been trying. I've been putting myself out there. And I'm just like, both of y'all full of it. Because when y'all came back from Panama, even though Pastor Cal tried to get y'all to reconcile things and Taylor said she was over it, Taylor's whole demeanor, body language, everything said that she was not over it. And understandably, Brandon kind of just like fell back because he was not receiving the welcome, the yes, it is safe for you to approach me. So Brandon retreated and went to play with his video games, and Taylor just did not take that well. So here they are. Now, my thoughts on the video, I feel like the video was very foul, it was very immature, it was very uncalled for, and the shadiest part of it is I didn't even know, but apparently Brandon is blocked from her IG, or she's not friends with him or something. He should not be able to have seen that story because they aren't even following each other on IG. So I was like, wow, Taylor, so you're really foul because you knew that people would see that video, but you were not expecting Brandon to see that video. That's why you were so confused as to why he was so upset. And when you realized he's probably upset because of that video, you were like, well, he didn't come and talk to me. He's jumping to conclusions. That wasn't even about him. Yes, it was. And yes, you did mean it to be hurtful to him. You didn't expect it to hurt him directly because you did not expect him to see it. But you knew. You knew, or you should have known that somebody was going to show him the video. Like, come on, Taylor. Come on. Anyway, nothing gets resolved. Brandon's like, yeah, no, I'm done. I wash my hands of this. This woman is not here to be married. She's only here for Instagram. She's getting phone calls from men at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's out all night. She said that she's a single woman, so let her be single. He gets up and he's like, take this microphone off of me, please. And poor Jimmy, I don't know if that's his name, but the guy that's sitting there with part of production, he's sitting there like, should I take the mic off? And he's like, don't listen to her. Take the mic off of me. And ooh, Brandon irks me because he does this little like passive aggressive smirk thing. Like he's always, I can't even do it. He just, hold on, let me try. He just always has that little smirk. I don't know, it just seems so smug and arrogant and just, oh, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Anyway, moving along, Dr. Pepper then follows up the conversation and Taylor has these crocodile tears like, I really was trying. I really was looking to see if we could. No, you weren't. You were done with this man. Just admit it. And the thing that I really didn't like was the fact that, first of all, when they first came back from Panama, Pastor Cal was really trying to force it. And the approach that both Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper had to resolving their issues was, okay, well, let's just get that in the past and move forward. You cannot do that with a situation where people have been disrespected, called out of their names, trust has been broken. You cannot just say, okay, well, we're just gonna put that over there and we're gonna move forward. That's just not realistic. You have to rebuild the trust. You have to rebuild the safe space that you have now compromised with one another. And I think that, unfortunately, these experts this season at least are really trying to keep everything together so that they can have a fluid rest of the season, as opposed to trying to keep these couples together because they actually both want to work things out. These two do not want to work things out, so let them leave. Let them leave. Oh, that really pissed me off. So next we see Dr. Pepper meet with Zach and Mindy. Now, as much as she was giving Brandon and Taylor a hard time, trying to get them to piece it back together, making them feel guilty, like, so many people wanted to be in this position. So many people wanted this. She didn't have that same attitude towards Zach. Because she said to Zach, you know, whenever we first sat down in this whole process, I asked you, what if you would not be attracted to the person that we picked for you? And you said to me that you would work things out, and you're doing everything but that. And I'm like, oh, so now Zach can just leave, right? Because that's what she said. She's like, are you here? Are you gonna work this out? Because if not, you should just leave. So I don't understand why it's one way with one couple, but then another way with another couple. I think Dr. Pepper was more frustrated with Zach, and she was taking out her frustration with Zach in the moment where she said, you know what, either you're in it or you need to go. Because she had this inkling about Zach. She knew in her heart that Zach was one of those guys who was all about his body, all about his looks, all about the aesthetics, all about the social media and all of that. And she knew that he was probably one of those guys that gets women just fine. So she asked him that question to make sure that if they do pair him with this wonderful, wonderful woman who may not be the beauty queen, she may not be the, IG model, she's a beautiful woman, but she's just not that. If we pair him with this person, will he do right by her? And unfortunately, Zach didn't know at the time, but he kind of gave Dr. Pepper his word that he would. And here he is not following through. And that is why Dr. Pepper was so upset with Zach in this scene. I don't think that she was upset with Zach because, he's not doing the right thing. I think she was more upset with Zach because she knew in her heart that Zach wasn't right. And she went against her better judgment and gave him a chance. And look at him making her look like, you really shouldn't have given this guy a chance. And now she's like, yeah. But y'all done did it. Y'all all agreed that Zach was a good fit for this. So next we see Jessica and Austin, and they're baking cookies. And I'm just like, ugh, can these two get any more cute? Like, I just really like their relationship. And I especially like their relationship because of Austin. Austin is so unassumingly intelligent. I didn't mean that to be insulting, but when you look at him and you see his background story about him having the tagline of being the mama's boy, you just don't think of someone who is as deep and as introspective and observant as he is. In this scene, he talks about Jessica's desire to please others and how baking cookies gives her an opportunity to serve others and makes her happy. And he said, you know what? I want to be there with her, by her side, helping her along the way, so she doesn't feel like she has to bear the burden of trying to please everybody by herself. I want to do this. If it's baking cookies, I'll bake cookies with her because I want her to know that I'm here to help you. I'm here to, take some load off your shoulders. So he bakes cookies with her. She tries out a new recipe. It comes out good. I'm just like, points. Nothing but points from me to Austin because he's winning right here. He's absolutely winning. And if they don't end up together, I'm going to be very, very sad. Now we go over to Mika and Michael, and they're walking into the restaurant where they're going to have dinner for the night, and Mika's basically explaining how they had a failed attempt at a yoga class. Now this is the moment where I was just like, you're really starting to aggravate me, Michael. They go to the yoga studio, or Mika, it was to meet Michael at the yoga studio. So I guess she got there before him. They didn't show this footage, but I'm guessing that she went there before him, and she must have, this is how I imagined that scene going with Mika walking into the yoga studio. Hi, I'm here for the 2:00 yoga session. Yeah, I don't see a Mika here. Are you here to see a specific instructor? Yeah, I'm here for Michael's class. He's one of the instructors. His name, maybe it's under his name. Look under his name. Yeah, we don't have an instructor named Michael here, and there's no Michael on this list either. Are you sure you're at the right yoga studio? I mean, there's so many yoga studios around here. Maybe you just at the wrong one. No, I'm pretty sure I'm at the right place, but let me just call him. I'm gonna go over here and call him. I screamed aloud. I screamed because I was watching the review that Locks Coffee and Convo did last week about episode 9, and she called it. She called it. She said Michael is one of those people that embellishes the truth and he tries to make himself seem bigger than he actually is. And he'll be the type of person that'll be like, yeah, I'm the superintendent of this, or yeah, I'm the CEO of this company. Meanwhile, he just works in the mailroom and everybody know him as Mailroom Mike. And that's exactly what happened to Mika. She's like, yeah, I'm here for the yoga instructor. And they're like, oh, you mean the janitor? This shouldn't be as funny as it is to me, but it's hilarious. And Michael had the nerve to, I don't trust you. If you don't quit with this whole you don't trust her, Mika has every right not to trust you. You lie for no reason, and then you clam up and pull this whole victim role and try to flip it and reverse it back to her and make her feel like she's crazy and gaslight her into feeling like there's something wrong with her, whereas there's really truly something wrong with you. There's something terribly wrong with someone who feels like there's no issue with lying to people. And they're like stupid lies. They're lies that it's like, why would you even need to lie about this? Or why would you stretch the truth that much? You still work at the school, but you're not a principal. You still go to the yoga studio, but you're not a full-time instructor. Like, why do you need to lie about these things and make it seem like you're just a step above where you actually are? And I guess we'll dive into that later on in the episode, but I was so annoyed right then and there. And Mika was like, you know what, I'm done with you lying. And he had the nerve to say, I'm done with you. I was like, Mika, you better pack your food to go and go, because I would have packed my food to go and dipped out of that restaurant. Like, that scene frustrated me to no end because Michael has no sense of personal accountability. Everything has an explanation behind it. And there shouldn't be this many conflicts concerning your ability to tell the truth this early on in the relationship. I've said a lot. Next, we see Taylor having lunch with her friends, and this scene annoyed me so much. Taylor really annoys me because she is consistently in her phone. The last episode, whenever she was at the park talking to Mika, while she was talking, she was also just scrolling through her phone. Like, no eye contact with Mika, in her own little world, just ranting on about her own woes and scrolling through her phone. And it's like, that's so disrespectful. And she did the same thing while she was at lunch with her friends. She's sitting there, yeah, so, you know, I just did this and this is what happened. And she's at lunch with two of her friends who are sitting right in front of her. Like, put that phone up. Put that phone up. Have some respect for the people that took the time out of their schedule to meet with you and listen to you tell all these. Anyway. Taylor's friends basically make Taylor feel like she's just in doing what she did by making that video about Brandon. And of course, her friend Tochi, who we saw on a previous episode at the housewarming party, he thought the video that she made was funny. He said, yep, I saw that video and I laughed out loud. And I'm like, of course you laughed. You don't like Brandon. You don't have any respect for Brandon. Whenever he heard about what Taylor told them about what happened at Panama, I'm sure from that moment on, he's been looking at Brandon with a side eye. So whenever Taylor made that video, he knew that it was subliminal shots against Brandon and against his character, against his sanity, against his questionable sexual orientation and sexuality. And he thought it was hilarious. So I'm sitting there like, your friends are dead wrong. Your friends are dead wrong because they should call you out on your nonsense. It was inappropriate. There was nothing funny or humorous about what you did. What you did was hurtful. And if it was the flip side and Brandon did something like that and they caught wind of it, oh, they would have been knocking on that door like, oh, we ready to fight. The way Tochi was defending her that day at the housewarming party, like, yeah, but I know, we said we moving past it, but it did happen. Where's that same energy now that your friend did something that was very offensive to the person that she's married to? And then the friend that she had, that the girlfriend that she had there, she's just like, yeah, I mean, he's over, like, he's just not. I was just like, What kind of friends are these? I know for me, whenever I do something out of line or out of pocket, my friends are right there holding my feet to the fire, like, yo, Dad, what you did, that wasn't right. You need to right this situation with this person. Or, you know what? I feel like Mika was being more of a good friend to Taylor than Taylor's own friends, because Mika said to her, like, look, I can see how you might not see the issue with what you did, but it wasn't right and you should apologize, because if anybody would do that to me, I know for sure I would be offended and I would require an apology. Next scene, we see Derek setting up for a bootleg paint and sip. Let me stop. We see Derek setting up for an at-home paint and sip night with his wife. And he just wanted to do something, nice, a nice gesture for her when she came home from a long day of work. And they decided to paint the dog. Now, when they said paint the dog, I thought they meant they were going to use the paint and apply it to the dog's coat of fur. But I was very relieved when I saw the easels on the table. So they, do their little paint and sip thing, and they're like, you know what? It's dinner time. Let's have dinner. Mac and cheese? Mac and cheese. And I said, yes. Be safe. Keep it safe. Stick to what you know for now. But at the same time, y'all should put some protein, some vegetables with that meal, because all y'all having is just macaroni and cheese. And I'm just like, what does y'all diet consist of on a daily basis? I don't know. I just have so many questions. But anyway. Next, we go over to Dr. Pepper's meeting with Mika and Michael, and Mika expresses her concerns about Michael's consistent lying and fabrication of the truth. In seasons past, I have been so here for Dr. Pepper's take on things and how she handles the, situations that arise between the couples, but between how she handled Brandon and Taylor's situation and now how she's going to handle Micah and Mika's situation, I'm just like, now I know I'm not a licensed professional, so maybe my opinion really doesn't even matter, but I'm just like, I don't agree. I don't agree with this. So Mika tells Dr. Pepper exactly what happened about the yoga studio session, and so she goes over to Michael. Did you lie about that? He's like, no. I am an instructor at the studio. I only teach part-time, once in a blue moon whenever they have openings for the classes. And then I guess you could say I'm a substitute teacher, not a real teacher. But then, new management came through and they don't know me. I'm just like, no. You're going to have to miss me with all this explanation. Michael always has a nice elaborate story that'll make his little lie seem like nothing. And in his explanation of the story, it's like, okay, that's very feasible, but I feel like you just did not tell the truth from flat out. On top of the fact, it's like, okay, maybe you are just a part-time instructor, and maybe the new management doesn't know you because you haven't been around for some time. What happened to the class? Why couldn't y'all take the class at the end of the day? If it's already been paid for, if it's already been covered, if you already got you and Mika's name on the list, why didn't y'all have the opportunity to take the class that day? And that's what Mika's frustrated about. It's like, yo, he lies about these things that are so stupid. There's no reason to lie about any of this. And yet here he is trying to explain it away, getting all, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You're a stranger. And it's like, stop. Stop with all of that. Not trusting someone and feeling like they're a stranger does not then cause you to lie, and not only lie, but like make yourself seem more grand, make your situation seem more beautiful and wonderful than it actually is. That's not what feeling like somebody's a stranger does to you. No, you have more deep-seated issues that you need to reconcile before you should have even come on this show. So Dr. Pepper says, some people, when they've been adopted, abandoned, whatever have you, they tend to go to a coping mechanism that makes them feel safe. And so maybe, and I'm just like, oh, no, don't give him an out. And that's exactly what happened, because Michael's like, yeah, it's my coping mechanism since I've been adopted, and I'm trying so hard to be accepted by people. And I'm just like, So Mika called you out on this episodes ago. She called him out and she said, if you knew that when put in uncomfortable positions, you have a tendency to lie, why would you even sign up for a show like this? She definitely asked him that. Maybe it was last episode or 2 episodes ago. And he had the nerve to spinning his ring around like, sir, that's a valid question. You know that you have an issue when it comes to telling the truth. You know that you have an issue when it comes to being accepted by people that causes you to do the most when there's no reason to put on this show. Why did you sign up for this show? And somebody pointed it out. I think it was Darlinda Tracy TV that pointed it out when she brought us back to the first few episodes whenever Michael's sister said, I just really hope that you stay true to yourself and that you're your authentic self. And I agree. I didn't notice it at the time, but now seeing how Michael is behaving and hearing his little explanation about why he is the way that he is and why it's so hard for him to open up and trust, I agree. Michael's sister knew that he has this thing about him, and she was hoping that he would just cut all the BS and just be real. Just be real. That's all Mika's asking from you. So Dr. Pepper gave him his out. He explained it away, and Mika now is sitting there looking like she's the bad guy or like she's doing too much by asking that he not lying, that he tell the truth. Next, we see Brandon have a lunch with his friend. And once again, Brandon's friend basically validates everything that Brandon is feeling. Now we hop over to Austin and Jessica, and they're doing the exercise that the experts gave them, which was basically like a spin the wheel thing. And Austin is tasked with giving his wife a lap dance. And I was already like, I'm gonna want to fast forward this scene. And of course, Austin in his true corny, dorky nature is like, oh, I think at this point in time, I should be turning towards you and gyrating like so. And right about now, I turn behind and shake, shake, shake. And I was just like, oh, Austin, stop. So Mika and Micah are also playing the game that they were given by the experts. Essentially, the game goes, you write down questions on index cards, you blindfold your partner, and you proceed to ask them questions that you've created on these index cards. So they do their thing or whatever, and finally, we get a true description of what it is that Michael does at his job. And you know, we get a true explanation as to why it is that Mika does not feel like she can fully open up to him. And I think they made some progress during this game. I'm still not seeing romantic vibes between the two, not even on a friendship level. So we'll see. Then we have Zach and Mindy. Now, Zach and Mindy are tasked with going through this, I guess, tantric breathing course. It's supposed to be super sensual. It has something to do with the Kama Sutra or whatever. So it's like, I don't even know if I'm going to want to see this, but here we go. So they go into the studio, and the instructor seems very, very sweet. She seems very, very warm, very, you know, zen and calming and everything. So she gives them the instructions. Mindy is to sit on Zach's lap, and they face one another and they embrace, and you know, she tells them to start to gently sway with one another, breathing into one another, give each other light touches. And you see Mindy over here like so robotic about it, and they're swaying and they're touching, and then she's like, look into each other's eyes, and Mindy's like looking so uptight and uncomfortable. And I'm like, Mindy, relax. This is what you've been wanting this whole time. You've been wanting him to touch you and embrace you and be close to you. But I think that Mindy is probably in her head about this because it's like kind of a forced situation. It's not a genuine Zach just wanted to embrace me right now and look deep into my eyes. It's like, I'm sure she was probably feeling like, is he even comfortable doing this? does he even want to gaze into my eyes right now? Because as we know, Mindy thinks way too much. She is way too critical of herself. Her self-confidence is kind of low. And on top of the fact, Zach has hammered into her mind that he is just not attracted to her. So I guess I cannot fault Mindy for being a little bit uptight and rigid when it came to this exercise. But we do see eventually that she does kind of just lay her head on his shoulder and they do form a warm embrace. And I was like, I don't know if this is gonna do much for them. I don't know if this is gonna make Zach move in with her. I'll tell you that, but I guess it was good for them. Finally, we close the episode with Katie and Derek, and they play Sexy Jenga. Derek's dorky ways are like magnified in this instance because one of the questions was, well, it wasn't really a question, it was, tell your spouse a pickup line. And Derek's like, oh, I don't know any pickup lines. I'm like, make some up, make some up. Be in the moment, Derek. And he's just so analytical. He's so dorky. And she's like, well, my gosh, did you ever pick up girls? Like, what did you say to the girls when you went to pick them up? And he's like, well, I didn't say anything. She's like, well, what did you do? And he tries to be smooth. He walks over and like shoves himself on the couch where she is and like makes out with her. And she's like, oh, I see. Katie's already expressed to her friends that she needs for Derek to have more game, more swag, more of that little, smoothness. And so she told Derek earlier, like, I need you to manhandle me. I need you to And so being the nerd that he is, he's like, computed, understood, execute. So they had the Jenga game and he's finally like, game over. So he throws her over his shoulders and the whole time he's carrying her to the room, I'm just looking at her head. I'm like, please don't let him knock her head on the door. But it didn't. And now they're sitting in bed making out and production's all up in there with the cameras like trying to get all the angles and they're sitting there awkwardly trying to block production like I'm just like, let it go. Let them have their moment. We've seen enough. The episode is over. You've captured enough footage. And so Derek's like, yeah, I'm just going to get this light right here. So you thought production has their own lighting. So they're still in the room. And I'm just like, all right, this episode's over, right? I can cut this off, right? I really don't see any of these couples lasting. I think that they've really dragged it on with some of these couples, i.e. Zach and Mindy, Brandon and Taylor. Like, y'all really dragging it with these couples. Like, at this point, it is no longer healthy for these people. Mentally, emotionally, it is not healthy for their well-being for them to still be in this situation. What do I know? I don't know if I'm going to continue reviewing this show, but I just had to get my thoughts about this episode out. Because I've been holding back. Like, I've been having so many thoughts about this entire season, but I was finally like, you know what? Darn it, I'm gonna make my video. But anyway, that's it for me. I'll see y'all in my next video.